Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We are very excited to have you. We love having these member experience calls once every month to those that are interested in learning about XY planning membership and how the network helps members to launch and to run their firms. This isn't about XYPN though. Of course, this is really about showcasing these members and helping each of you to see that this is possible. You can do this. It's not impossible. There are people that are there to help you, and we're a community there to grow together. Arlene was scheduled to host this call today. However, she had a family emergency, so she was originally promoted as the host, but I will be taking over instead. I'm Jacob. I'm the marketing assistant here at XY Planning Network. I help Jen in sharing the movement, and I love doing that. Other than that, just know that I'm an XYPN team member, and I'm only here to keep the questions rolling so you guys get the powerful insight that comes from this experience. Our call today is focused on staying sane while building your firm, which you've all seen already. We've got with us today, we've got Michelle Smallenberger, and we also have Dan Andrews. I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. You've all read the description, you know, how they stayed sane while they've done the heavy lifting as a solopreneur. We've also, you know, our guests are going to share things that they've learned on the hard way, hopefully to save you all some blood, sweat, and tears in starting and growing your firms and in learning about how to do that. We're excited for you to join us in this live discussion to get some insight to XYPN's supportive community on how to stay sane and learn from these two all members. As we said before, this call is ideal for anyone considering joining our network of like-minded advisors. And if you have further questions after this call, I suggest that and encourage you to schedule a moment with Stacy Unruh, our director of membership, and you can find her information on the XY Planning Network webpage. This call is only going to be 1 hour long, and I know there's a lot of questions for us to get to. You guys have submitted so many questions. We're excited to answer them. If you want, you will see in the GoToWebinar package on the side of your screen that there is a question area. If you want to, you can type questions during. Because there are so many people scheduled this call, we have over 100 people registered. We're not going to have time necessarily get to all the questions, but if you want to add more questions while we're going, feel free to ask a question in there and we'll get to them as we can. So now to introduce our guests, Michelle and Dan. Michelle Smallenberger is the founder of Financial Design Studio. She and her husband opened the firm together. She has over 12 years of experience in financial planning, and you can find her on Twitter at SmallsFDS. Dan, he's the founder of Well-Rounded Success. He transitioned a blog or his creativity outlet that he started in 2014 to a financial planning firm 2 years ago this month, actually. Dan focuses with clients on finding paths and handling responsibilities. You can find Dan on Twitter at Daniel C. Andrews or at WR Success. So I will let our guests introduce themselves with these two questions. How did you get started, and what's one of the most difficult things you faced since starting your firm? And we will start with Michelle.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Smallenberger, and the two questions are, how did we get started? So I initially started working at a firm. I was actually in a financial planning program at Kansas State University, and when I graduated, I went to a firm right after that and started working there, and I was there for almost 14 years. And this time last year, we launched our own firm, my husband and I. So it's been a year, and we're really glad we did. Everything's been great. And so the challenges that we went through, I wouldn't say there's like things that were really hard, but I think it was a pull between everything you want to get done in that first year, and you know where you want to be, but where you are today to getting to there is a process. And so just remembering that, and remembering that just taking the steps to get there, the whole journey is fun. So it's just getting there. But I would say that was the challenge, was just wanting to be where you know you want to be in maybe 2 or 3 years, and just taking the steps to get there. So
perfect. And Dan.
Greetings all, thanks for joining. How did I get started? So I used to be part of an independent channel of a broker dealer, and I was kind of being trained as an investment advisor. And I became a CFP, and I didn't really understand what the financial planning world looked like until I went to a financial planning conference, where my mind just was blown of what other business models were out there than what I was exposed to in the broker dealer world. And so where I tried not to have that grass is always greener mentality, but I just knew in my gut that the grass was greener, and it was something that I wanted to take that leap and make that kind of challenge to myself to be like, oh, I can build a financial planning firm with unique business models on my own terms versus just on the broker dealer's terms. Most difficult aspect, I would have to kind of piggyback on what Michelle said. Like, I have never worked so hard in my entire life, and kind of the rewards that you get aren't immediate. And so you kind of have to have that patience and faith that things are going to work out. But something I try to have a knack for, as well as what the theme of today's meeting is like how to stay sane, like, and developing kind of systems and rituals and processes on how to reward yourself along the way, because sometimes you're the only one that's going to give yourself a pat on the back, because the clients aren't busting down people's doors on day one that you open up your shop. So you got to figure out how you can keep your momentum up and have fun in the process versus just putting too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, agreed. Well, perfect. Well, we are very excited to have you all. This is going to be a great call. Glad we got the introductions through. So our first area of questions, we've been taking submissions from people as they've been registering for the webinar, and we've organized them into different subject areas. So this first area, I called it this pain and fear area. A lot of worries about where we get started and how to get going. So the first question is, what advice do you have for young financial planners who are looking to launch their own solo practices?
Yeah, I can go first, I guess. We'll take turns going first here. I would say a couple things. So first, if you're in a firm and you're looking to maybe go out on your own, do everything that you can to get experience in any area that you can. So any of the jobs that no one wants to do, the tasks, the projects, anything that you can, especially on the business management side as well as the client facing side, that's going to become really valuable when you are the one doing the client facing and the business management. So any of those things, try to get as much experience as you can. Secondly, I would say save up money. You want to give yourself as long of a runway as possible. So you want, if you're gonna, it sometimes takes 2 to 3 years to where before you're getting paid. And so you need to be able to last that depending on the expenses that you're going to put in to get your business launched. You can do it with much less, but it really depends what you want to do. So I would say those are the two biggest things. Try to get as much experience as you can. If you're a student in school, I would say find internships, find people that when you're not in classes that you can learn from, that you know kind of serve as a mentor. I would just say learn and soak up as much as possible.
Perfect. Dan?
All right, my turn. So guess what? We're financial planners. So that means we kind of have to practice what we preach and not be speculative of what money we're going to make in our first year. So we have to kind of set up our nest egg to live off of like a runway, so that you can sleep well at night and not just be panicking about where the money is going to come. And the money doesn't have to come from only your business. Like, just like any diversified financial plan, you should have diversified income streams, and that can either come from a supportive family, from a spouse, or from side hustles, whatever it is, and then savings attached to it. So in order to sleep well at night, it takes a little bit longer than you anticipate to get that revenue. You got to have that long runway. So practice what we preach and be responsible as financial planners.
And that's one thing that I would say, Dan, was probably a little different for us because it was my husband and I going out and launching our own. So it either is going to work or it's not. And so for us, it had like we were saving, it has to work. It's kind of one of those mentalities versus you're exactly right. Some people where they have a spouse who's still working and they can kind of, build it up while that spouse is working. Exactly. So a couple different roads.
But did you have the savings to give you that kind of peace of mind, knowing that, okay, I at least have somewhere where I can know that we're going to pay the bills?
Exactly. So that's where in our case, we had to have that because we didn't have that other source, or, the other sources were small if it was kind of like tax prep or something like that. So it was, yeah, exactly. So depending on what your situation, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that, which kind of, I suppose, leads into this next question. It's similar to this idea of, hey, how do you get started? And cash flow is very important as well. But do you think that you need a lot of client-facing experience before launching your own practice? Or can people just go from, college to here, or from another career to here? Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, so Michelle went first last time, so I'll go first here. Experience is a lot more valuable than the CFP textbook. You get to understand the quirks of people and how kind of irrational behavioral economics comes into play. And that you can't learn from a textbook. You kind of just have to learn that every conversation's a dance, and you got to understand how to lead, how to like kind of how you want to navigate and guide the conversation. And those client facing experiences are very valuable because that's what the client usually is paying for, are those client facing experiences for the business models that we offer. So if you're trying to become like a kind of a financial planner to kind of coach people and kind of help them analyze their financial life, then you kind of need a little bit of experience, or as much experience as you can. And something I did when I launched is that I was groomed as an investment advisor. So I was really good at kind of, teaching people about investments, but I only really knew the CFP textbook of like the other areas of financial planning. Yes, I dabbled in these with clients, but never like holistically. And so I actually had a friend of mine who was also a client as an investment advisor just say, hey, can you be my guinea pig where I can, kind of craft my financial planning skills with you so I can get more confidence and more kind of knowledge of like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this. So I wouldn't have had that confidence if I didn't have that experience. And with my case, I gave it out for free for one client just to give me that confidence booster.
Yeah, that's
I like
good.
that way of doing it.
That's great. I would say, so I think that it helps. I don't think that you have to have years of experience before you launch your business. But I will say, having been in a firm for 13, 14 years, and we were meeting with clients, running meetings, doing the prep, the follow-up and stuff, I will say that it was easier because we had that experience. So I think there's two areas of your business when you first launch. There's the business management, and that's choosing your tech, that's choosing all of these things that you have to, your cash flow, all of that. And then I think there's the other side of the client management and meeting with them and the relationship and answering their questions. And like Dan said, actually providing the advice that you're needing to get paid for to make the business management happen. So I think for us, because we had that experience, the client management part, so that relationship and the answering the questions was easier because we had a pretty clear idea of what we wanted to do. So I think it can make it harder if you don't have a lot of experience, but I don't think that you cannot do it if you don't have experience. So I definitely think that you could. I just think there might be a learning curve, and you're going to have to focus early on what you're going to provide. If there are deliverables, what is that service, and be really clear and have that mapped out before, because once you start, it might be more of the business management questions that you're trying to figure out. And so you really, you want to kind of already have that figured out. So now when you're getting ready and you're launching, you're not figuring that part out because you need to start getting paid once you launch and once you get started. So that's kind of one of the pieces where I think having that experience helps, but it doesn't make it to where if you don't have it that you can't start, because I know there's a lot of young people that are starting businesses. And I mean, I know that the experience helps, but it's not everything, I would say.
Yeah. I like that. You're right. I mean, just personally seeing in the network, we do have some advisors who are 24, 25-year-olds starting a firm from scratch. And some of them are 24, 25, they've had experience. Some of them are 24, 25, they haven't. And we have, of course, all age groups. So you're right. I've seen that in the network myself. Thanks for clarifying that. That's awesome. We're seeing many questions come in. I just want to let you guys know I am seeing your questions. We're going to get to them. This next pain point area was asked as a pre-question, and it is one of the questions in our chat. They're asking about career changing or moving from other business areas. James asks, what advice do you have for career changers? I have a background in finance and investing, but I want to transition into eventually starting my own firm. What steps would you recommend? It seems like you both have sort of done that. So it seems like a good question to ask.
I'll go first. I'm a career changer. I'm a recovering hospitality professional, which means I was working 70-hour work weeks for 30-hour pay. Now it's ironic because sometimes I'm working 90-hour work weeks for like 20-hour pay when I was just starting. But what I did is I try to immerse myself in this kind of new profession that I didn't really know. And that is just nerding out and absorbing as much knowledge as you can. And it's pretty cool, like the compounding effect that we all nerd about, like compound interest. Like think about compound knowledge. Like I am reading all these books, I'm listening to all these podcasts, I'm reading all these articles, and I'm really trying to better my skills as a career changer where I'm so much better or more knowledgeable in this area now than I was in 10 plus years of nerding out about hospitality, because that's what I went to school for. But the knowledge that I have now is just so much better. And now I actually am confident that I have something to offer, because guess what? Now I'm taking care of people in a very different way. In the hospitality profession, I was taking care of people to make sure their pillow had enough fluff that night. Now I'm actually taking care of people in a very sensitive, taboo, personal way, which is why I got in the hospitality industry to begin with. So if you're going to make a career change, just try to immerse yourself and become as knowledgeable as possible. And you don't have to worry about that, oh, that since I didn't get a business degree in this, like, oh, wait, you can actually give yourself a business degree by just nerding out.
It's good. So I think there's a couple of things there. I think if you switch careers, you could actually take a lot. So I think financial planning in what we do every day and the history of it is going to be changing. It's going to change in several different ways going forward. And I think if you're coming from a different career, it actually could be good for you, because you may have a lot of things that you're bringing from what you used to do. Just like Dan said, from hospitality, maybe from engineering, maybe from, so many different things, and project management, all of those things. And I think that can actually shape maybe your client experience in a different way than what advisors are doing traditionally. So I think it can actually give you a leg up if you think differently, if you maybe even bring your past experience into this business and say, okay, this is what I'm doing now, but what were things and how did I do that in my old profession that are actually going to be different, forward thinking, that are different in the industry, and that makes you different as an advisor. So I think it could actually be a really good thing for you.
I agree. That's perfect. Yeah, I like that. Another question that's very similar that was asked is this person's asking specifically, they're in a broker dealer and they have existing clients with life insurance and annuities that they need to service these people, and they have recurring revenue associated with them. How can you be fee only without walking away from business revenue and clients that fit in the umbrella of your business?
Dan, did you have clients that were in that situation?
Actually, I have a client, only one client right now that's like still at the existing firm, my old firm, because they had some trails, and I told them like, oh, I'm moving, like, we're going to keep that there because I want you to get your money's worth for it was an A-load mutual fund. And so I was like, I want you to get your money's worth, so just keep it there. And then we're going to start all your new contributions at my fee-only firm. The question about being fee-only and getting trails and commissions, there's an awesome XYPN radio podcast where Michael Kitsis and Alan Moore really dive into this question that I saw beforehand for this webinar, where they like kind of just talk about this exact kind of circumstance for like an hour and 15 minutes. And those two are very knowledgeable about the subject already. So if you're wanting some information that's a little bit more articulate than what I can provide, go listen to that podcast, XYPN Radio.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can find that episode.
I came from an RIA in my past, so I wasn't dealing with any of that before, so I can't comment specifically on that. However, because the firm I was working at, I was there for so long, I had a lot of really strong relationships with clients. And so we chose, while we didn't have a non-compete, we actually chose not to call any of our clients that we were working with, even though there was probably 30 that we had brought to the firm. And what our philosophy was that we'll be out there, we'll be findable, and they can find us. And so actually all of them that we wanted to work with did find us. But we just felt like we had learned a lot at the firm we were at, and we wanted to respect that, and we really wanted things to end well. So that was our philosophy and what we did, but there weren't any trailing fees or anything like that would make us not fee only if we didn't handle them correctly. So I can't comment specifically on that.
Perfect. Well, thank you for those comments on it. Okay, the next question is, any tips on how to position launching your business with family and friends in the months leading up to the launch, or maybe even shortly after? Like, how can you make them aware that you might not have as much time or money? Or how about if you decide to work with family and close friends, how do you treat them as clients? Is that different than other clients you have? That's kind of a two-pronged question. But hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll talk about the working with family as clients. We treat them the same. So we always tell every client that anything that anyone shares, anything that we know about them is confidential. So even when we're at, Christmas, at the Christmas table and we're having dinner and everyone's around, none of that is shared. So they're treated just like any other client. We never talk about their financial things unless they bring it up and they want, to share with everyone. But even, who we work with as clients, we don't share if they don't want to know and things like that. So we keep them very much like any other client. And then when we're together, we schedule meetings with them. We get together, we talk about their specific things. So I feel like that keeps it professional, and it also makes them feel like we are trustworthy. So even though we're family, we're not sharing everything. If they want to share, that's their position too. So that's how we work with clients as clients, I guess, or family as clients.
I like that focus on the confidentiality and the professionalism, because I think that's what many family members are worried about, right? They're worried, are they going to be able to be confidential because they're family? Yep. And are they going to be able to be professional? So I like that. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family doesn't want financial planning, but I actually offer separate service models. I do investment management as well, and these are for the people that I know aren't financial planning clients. They don't want financial planning. It's just not the way they're wired. But I don't want them to go somewhere where I don't have as much faith and trust in the investment philosophies. So if these people that trust me for my investment philosophy and my investment advice, I'm like, okay, like I'll figure out a way for me to help you. And guess what? Like I can be your financial go-to resource, but I'm not going to hold your hands in the financial planning process. Like I'll be like that person you can ask like one question or two questions, however it comes up. It doesn't come up that often, but then I'll like go, here are like all your options and resources to go pursue. Let me know if you have any questions, but I'm not going to be that obnoxious guy to hold you accountable. My financial planning clients, I am that obnoxious guy to hold them accountable. So my family, they don't want me to hold them accountable whenever they say like, okay, like I need to get my will done. But whenever things come up, like my family knows that I am there to like handhold them as much as possible just because they're family. So if anything, I give my family even more intense service because I don't drop things, but I am there as like a person that they can like delegate financial tasks to. And then I know that their investments are being handled in kind of a way that they're not paying too much and they're kind of not being taken advantage of, which we all see in other areas of the financial world where that can happen.
I will also add that I think they are the hardest clients because I think it's this maybe battle between I'm giving advice and you care, but it's also, well, why are you telling me this? This is what you want. So I think sometimes that can play into it, and it's real, it's there. But I have found time and time just repetitive, just saying, this is why you should do it. This is why you should do it. Here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove it to you. When you can prove it and you can show them the two different examples, if you do it or if you don't, that speaks so loud. So those have been the things where I've just found that that's what we have to do. But over time, I feel like you grow that trust, that dependence, and they start to listen quicker. But I will say that. Then I think the other question was how to position starting your business to your family, the time, the money and stuff like that. And I think for us, it was a little different. So we shared with all of our family. I think because no one in our family had ever started a business before. They'd always worked at jobs for 30, 40 years. And so I think that was scary. So that was something we realized we kind of had to, again, kind of prove we've been doing this. This is what we've always wanted. It's just time to do it. So kind of getting over that. Don't worry. We know what we're doing. In worst case, we go back and work for firms at X salary per year. Worst case, not bad. And so that we kind of had to get through that. But I think really just explaining, because it's interesting because your schedule becomes more flexible. And so for us, it was planning ahead. It was kind of asking everyone for like the holidays just came. And so asking them, when are you going to be in town? When is this going to happen? You want to be there as much as you can. You want to be flexible. And so for us, it was being able to plan ahead. And when we knew we could get everything done beforehand, and if things came up, I feel like they understood. So that understanding was there because we were explaining, throughout the year how things were going. It wasn't just kind of a one-year check-in. So I think the planning ahead was really big. And then also I think just understanding that, hey, we're starting a business, our family kind of does gifts where, the kids, we just do the kids, we don't do for the siblings, so the cousins, and we have dollar limits. And so that all helps anyway. So being creative, we can do it on a budget. So all of that helps. But if you don't have those things set up, those are ideas where it's saying, hey, maybe this year we do something different. We all go to dinner or something instead of gifts or something like that. But I think overall, they're usually probably pretty understanding. But I think those are maybe some creative ways or some things that I noticed, especially around the holidays, kind of dealing with that. But it went really smooth. So.
Yep, to echo what Michelle just said, guess what? We're planners. And guess what? Family, they're going to worry. And so if we can take as much worry off of them and show that, hey, I'm not making an impulsive decision here. Here's the plan. You don't have to create like a 90-page business model or business plan, but like show that you're actually taking this seriously. Then you can transition your family from becoming worrywarts to your number one cheerleaders, which guess what? In that first year, you're going to need a lot of support, like, because this is hard. And sometimes you just need those pick-me-ups. And if your family's already like on the fence about you doing this, it's just going to compound on your little fear and self-doubt. And if you can transition them to become like encouragement and like cheerleaders for you, it's going to help you in that first year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jacob. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Oh, it's just a few other things that we noticed early on. So if you've been working in a firm or at a job for, even a year or two, you're in a routine of maybe working 9 to 5. You're used to that. And so one thing we found early on, that if we weren't purposeful to set a new routine, that we would just fall into the old one. So if we didn't like the 9 to 5, if we wanted the 7 to 3, if we wanted the 8 to 2, to 12, 8 to noon, whatever you want, you have to set that. So if you're not purposeful to set a new routine, you're going to fall into the old one. The other thing is that we're always, when you have your own business, you're always on vacation and you're always working, because you can choose what you want to do with your time. So if it's going to be that you're on vacation and you're somewhere for 2 weeks, at the same time you're working. And so it's those things, and realizing that you have to be doing the same thing or two things at once. In your head, it can kind of pull you in different directions. But if you understand, hey, I'm going to be visiting my family for a couple weeks, but I know I'm going to work and get these things done. I know I have these things coming up, then it's manageable. So it's understanding those couple of things. And then I think another thing that helps is working little bits of time. So at the end of the year, you have your ADV filing. Certain things come up every year. You have billing if you're doing investment management. So first, after the end of the quarter, you're going to be doing billing. So those are things right now. We're away from home, but we're still able to get those things done. And then also the other thing is we do a lot of video. So setting a date to get it done, because if you don't, it may never get done. So those are just a few little things that really have pushed us to get a lot more accomplished than if we hadn't have done those things. So those are just a few little tidbits that we found early on worked for us, or that we had to do.
I like that. Just mentioning sometimes you need a lot of cheerleaders. That's one of my favorite parts about the XY network. We have a chat system for all the financial advisors that are all the members of XYPN. And one of my favorite channels in there is the pick me up area, where people are just posting their little successes they're having, and it's just, oh wow, look, Jen's doing this. Oh wow, Dan did this. Oh, Michelle did this. These accomplishments are having, and it just helps all of us. Okay, we can do this together. We're all working on our own thing, but we can make it work. So I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is one that has been asked in the chat and was asked beforehand. How did you decide on the financial planning process you're going to put each of your clients through? Did it mirror the firm that you previously worked at, or have you changed it and made it different or completely unique? We'll start with Dan this time. I think we may have lost your mic, Dan.
Yeah. No. No.
Not yet.
I can take that. And then Dan, can you still hear us at least? Oh,
I
he's
was
on
on
mute.
mute. I muted
Okay.
myself. All right. Can you hear me
Okay, go
now?
ahead. Go for it. Yep.
All right. So my financial planning process, remember, I was at an investment advisor before, and we just did a little bit dabbling in financial planning through their financial planning software, but we weren't financial planners first. So when I had to like kind of create my own financial planning process, guess what? I was green and I could have as much creative freedom to do it. And so what I do is help new adults with financial literacy and personal growth. These are like two of my biggest passions is financial planning and personal growth. I watch a lot of TED Talks, listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books. So I feel like I can really help a lot of people that are in their 20s and 30s kind of become more confident individuals so they don't go through the pain points that I did when I had to do a career change and I didn't really know who I was. It's also known as the quarter life crisis. So I'm trying to prevent people from going through the quarter life crisis. So my financial planning process brought these two loves of mine together to kind of provide a program for people. So with this financial planning process, it's like something I constantly tweak because I always ask my clients feedback, and these are clients who pay for it, as well as that pro bono one who helped me kind of craft it. Because I was like, hey, I'm going to give you this stuff for free, and you're going to tell me what you like and what you don't like, because I'm trying to get people to pay for this. So it was just something I wasn't kind of loyal to a previous system, that I could have that creative freedom to kind of put myself in the shoes. Like, I wish I had this in college. What does that look like? And then how can I offer it? So it's something I try to do as much as possible, which is my hospitality background of like, what is this like on the other side? How can I make this for them, not for me?
That's great. Yeah, I think that's a great way. So we kind of did something similar when we were at our old firm. In launching, we had created like a young professional program, and so we were the ones that set that up. And that started from talking with 5 or 6 potential clients that are now clients. But it was really just like Dan said, asking them what is it that they want, what would be helpful, what are things, what are questions that they have, and so that's where that all came from. The other thing. Something that just escaped my mind. That would be the biggest thing that I would say is it did come from our past firm. However, we had created it there. So it was something we just now kind of changed a little bit because there were things that we wanted to change and simplify or make it easier. And so there are things that we've even refined from that. But yeah.
Perfect. So this is one that was asked, Samuel Dean, pardon if I'm not pronouncing that right. He asked, as a new firm, how did you find your first couple of clients? And what are some of the ways that you found clients?
It's amazing how clients, if you put yourself out there, if you're doing things, so XYPN, the advisor search, that is one of the ways that we've gotten some of our first clients. Those have been actually, that was the advisor search portal that we get the most clients from. I know
Really?
NAPA is another one that we're on, but XYPN is the one that we get all of our search portal clients from. Yes. The other is just through social media. So just a couple days ago, we got someone that just sent a message through social media. And so our marketing funnel went into place. And so that was getting those things set up. So it's amazing where people come from. They will just come directly from your website and you'll just get a contact us submission. I'm amazed at how people find you, but all of those ways. So again, being findable, all of our new clients, those have been the ways, and then referrals. So people that know us, but those have been the different ways that we've known.
I'm the opposite. I think I've gotten maybe less than 5% of my clients from searches, and my program is very unique. And so like a lot of my time tested ways people have built their businesses for years of just going out, meeting people, building trust, building rapport. That's never going away. And that's how I choose to focus my time, of getting out there in the community to find win-win networking. So it's like time that I feel good that I'm spending. And if I get a client out of it, great. If not, at least I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing. So just trying to be as like kind of authentic and organic in my intentionality as possible, so that I can like gain trust from people and then have them go like, so what is it that you do? And I'm like, oh, if you have kids, this is my financial planning program. And that's how I get a lot of my clients.
That's great.
I like that. So has the way that you've marketed or found clients changed from the beginning, or have you adopted new methods since starting?
I don't know who's gone first in all of these.
I don't remember either. Go,
So
Michelle.
sorry, Dan. Dan, if you want to answer, just jump in because I like to talk. So I would say we've kind of done the same from the beginning. So we were doing video in the beginning, and we're still doing that. The one thing that will change this year is doing Facebook Live. So even more practical, raw, authentic, I guess I would say, even more than kind of our pre-recorded videos that we're doing once a week. That's something that we're going to add. So I would say we've just tweaked it to maybe do even a little more, but we've done a lot on social media, blogging, things like that, media requests, all of that stuff, and then a lot of seminars. So through church and things like that, just that education, helping people, because at the core of this, we just want people to be in a better financial situation regardless of where they're at. We just want to help them because we see too many people who do not get great advice, and it's really frustrating, and it's really sad when you see someone that comes in your door and you're like, they weren't helped in a way that they needed. And so that's our main goal. So that's what we've done.
I like that. That's so interesting. See how people. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Jacob. It's fine.
No, I was going to go on to the next question. If you had something you want to say.
No, and it's a process figuring out what marketing that you like and what marketing you don't like. And notice how I said it like that, not what works and what doesn't, because you're going to have to enjoy the process. Like that's the best way to make this fun, because if you're not having fun, guess what? That's going to come across to people. And why would anybody want to work with someone who doesn't even like what they do? So my marketing is more of me just like kind of being a creative outlet of like, how can I provide this education to people in a very kind of unique as well as fun way that I like to kind of promoting this material. And so that's through video, that's through a newsletter, that's through articles. And I try to do one of these a month so that I can like make sure I'm just flashing in front of people. And what's nice, if you do this on a consistent basis, questions come up where you're like, hey, I wrote a blog post about that a year ago. Let me send you a link to it. So like you have this like library of content that can be like your way of providing value to people as you're establishing that rapport and that trust. Something that I'm doing now compared to what I was doing at the beginning was really owning my unique niche, and that is with this new adults. And so guess what? I'm going out there and telling a lot of financial planning firms, guess what I do? I help the people that you don't want to serve, of these young millennials that don't know what they're doing. So I'm actually starting to get some kind of leads from other financial planners who are understanding that, oh, Dan's not really competition because he does like a coaching program that can help me or help the kid of my client. And then Dan's not going to like try to steal the assets. He's just trying to like kind of coach them financial literacy so that they can become a good client for the existing planner. So that's like where I'm going to focus some of my marketing efforts this year. And intentionality, again, I'm helping the profession because I'm actually being a director of the Colorado Financial Planning Association, as well as being part of the XY Planning Network Diversity Committee. So I'm helping the profession and then letting other financial planners know what I do so that they can refer me.
I like that. Thank you. Okay, this next one is a little bit of an interesting question. Charles Huronzi, I definitely slaughtered that one. Charles asked, what books are must-reads to help get a firm started? Are there any books that you read about how to do a financial planning firm, or what did you guys read to get started?
Can I ask a clarifying question? So is this for business management or is this for financial planning?
We will see if we can get one of those from Charles. I would assume he's probably asking about starting a financial planning firm, like an RIA. We normally, a lot of questions come in that general direction, but this one isn't clarified.
Okay.
Dan, what was the one we were just talking about before? We were talking about working on versus in your business.
Oh, the E-Myth. I forget who wrote it. Yeah. And they have it's something that I'm dealing with in year 2. Michelle's very lucky to have a partner. Her husband is helping her grow the business. I'm a solopreneur, and my assistant doesn't do anything because I haven't hired him or her yet. So everything is on me. And so I deal with a lot of the things that the E-Myth talks about, where are you running in your business or are you running your business? So are you working on your business or working in your business? And right now, after 2 years of all these kind of other responsibilities that just come up with just, as you get busier, that's a good thing, because that means more clients to serve, more projects to do. It's a lot. So the E-Myth is a book that I haven't even read, but I need to read. And I just know that time-tested philosophy of working in your business versus on your business. But to go into kind of financial planning books that I kind of really like, because I was a career changer, so I really needed to learn, was Dick Wagner's Financial Planning 3.0. It's kind of a financial planning philosophy book of like what the profession can look like and how we can actually be really noble stewards of financial planning for ourselves, our clients, and the profession in general. Another good book is A Random Walk Down Wall Street, which has helped me with my own investment philosophy. That's more investment focused. Let's see.
So Charles just clarified in asking the question, saying he's asking business management also.
Okay.
E-Myth. The E-Myth. That is a business.
Wall Street is a very good one.
The E-Myth is a good business management one, so that will get you back to the working in versus on your business. The other one I was going to say is the one-page financial plan. That's kind of more planning, but that's another good one. That's different. Another one, business management, is I think I'm going to butcher it, but it's like the 3-month business plan, I think, talking about instead of having a 1-year business plan, that by the end of month 3, you figure out that I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. Instead of waiting until I get to the end of month 11 to figure that out, I figured it out in month 3, and I need to kick it into gear. So that's what that one is. It's kind of more management. Someone in my study group mentioned that one heavily. So that is one. I know that's good.
The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, I think his name is. It's a good mentality of business book of how to make sure that you're coming from the right place whenever you're talking with potential clients. It's kind of like done as a parable, so it's a really quick read, but it's just a good kind of mental check-in of like, okay, what are my intentions with this?
There's so many good books. There's a library list of them. Yeah. If you guys have more, I'm fine to keep going. I do have another question I'm ready to move on to whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, I'm going to my old blog post of like the books for your summer reading list, but I'll save that.
I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure I shared that one from your blog on my social media because I thought it was awesome. Like, oh, this list, and I put 3 of them on my reading list. I haven't gotten them yet. I've got them sitting on my shelf right there.
Yeah, Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. That'll be the last book I say. It's a good book of like kind of giving yourself the discipline of like, how do I get the right habits so I can be a business owner? Whose dog is that?
Stacy.
Mine, I'm sorry.
Anyone who's able to see the questions, Stacy just posted a link to that summer reading list from Dan in the chat, so you guys can see that if you want. Thomas asked, what was the first book that Michelle mentioned for financial planning? I think it was the E-Myth, was it?
There was the one-page financial plan, that book, and then the E-Myth. Yeah, that's the other one.
That one is by the financial planner, the guy, the Hager guy.
Carl Richards.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Richards. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Carl. Yeah.
Thanks, Stacey.
That one's a good one just to challenge what you may have been doing in an old firm if you've been there several years. That's a good one just to give you a fresh perspective on a plan.
And add George Kinder, Lighting the Torch, or the 7 Stages of Money Maturity to it. He's kind of a financial planning guru as well. So, and then also, I guess an XYPN plug, the monthly retainer model, the little book that they created, Michael Kitces and Alan Moore.
Got a copy of it right here.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, you guys got XYPN to plug, or I plugged it, not you. That's nice.
Hey. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, so kind of moving a different direction, we've got a couple of questions about technology, and I know that Thomas asked this question ages ago. He asked, do you use turnkey asset management platforms, or TAMPs, If so, which TAMP do you use?
We do not. So we use. So go, Dan, if you do.
I use Betterment, and so that's a turnkey asset management provider, and that was done intentionally because I believe in the Betterment model, as well as when I was first starting, it made my life super simple for compliance reasons because I wasn't taking any managing any of the custodial assets. I didn't have any discretionary. So for compliance reasons, it made my life a lot simpler to not have those responsibilities on my ADV. And it also was really nice when I was just starting that I only had one thing to offer, and that was Betterment. Now that I'm in year 2, I'm establishing a relationship with TD Ameritrade. I'm just starting the process, but it was really nice in the first year or 2 to not have like too many things on the lunch menu that I could offer. It was more like, here's Betterment. Like Betterment is how I'm going to start. This is something I believe in. It makes sense for a lot of people. So it's something that I'm going to do. But now that I'm getting a little bit more kind of, I have the ability to add TD and Ameritrade to my responsibilities for compliance as well as for my clients, then I'm adding that for the more sophisticated strategies.
Yeah, so we have discretion. We custody assets at Charles Schwab. So ours is not a turnkey asset platform. We do it. I'm doing that.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's good to know because that is, everyone does it differently. And it's just amazing to see all these different solutions that are coming out. I mean, XYPN recently launched the XYS solution. There's a plethora. I mean, I have college friends that use Wealthfront and Betterment, and I use Betterment for some of my stuff right now. There's just a million different TAMPs, so it's good question to ask. Going on the same question as TAMPs, what technology did you use when you first started your firm? Was it all Excel spreadsheets, or did you have some sort of technology platform? And we'll ask Dan to start with this one.
So I actually have a list of the softwares that I use. I use Slack and Evernote for my note taking. I use G Suite, and I try to get as much bang for my buck, and that's just like the Google platform of Gmail, Google Slides, Google Docs. Like that's where I create like all of my agendas with my clients, all my marketing material, like all that stuff is coming from the G Suite. When I first started, I used Google Hangout for video chat, and then I decided to actually pay money on Zoom because Google Hangout was so glitchy, and I was just like, okay, just try not to be as frugal as possible and just pay the $150 for the year of Zoom, and I'm really glad I did that. Advisor for financial planning, Wealthbox for my CRM, QuickBooks for bookkeeping, MailChimp for my newsletter, Smart RIA for my compliance, Woofu for surveys, DocuSign for contracts, WordPress for my website, Schedule Once for calendar, Message Watcher for compliance, then the social media channels, and then Betterment, Google Voice for my phone, and Boomerang for scheduled messages. So there's a lot. Small business ownership, there's a lot.
So we use a lot of similar ones. Zoom. We use eMoney, and then Pick to Chart for creating like just pieces for online social media or something you want to put together. Wealthbox for CRM, MailChimp. We use Orion for the portfolio management system. Schwab is our custodian, so DocuSign for document, Schedule Once for the calendar, Message Watcher, the G Suite, and then we also use World Docs for our online filing, just a little more secure than the G Suite. So that was something from a previous firm. So, and then like Vimeo for our videos, YouTube, things like that. So all the social media tools, Morningstar, yeah. Riskalyze for the investment management.
So this is kind of a personal question. I think clarifying a little bit more. Did you start with all that technology, or was that like slowly building up as you're going, or did you need all that to get started? It seems like a lot of the ones you're using as well come from previous firms you've worked for as well. Just another note.
Yeah, for us, we started with all of those. They were ones that we were using prior, and there's just certain things that you can't get in some of them, in certain reports that we like to show clients. So, like for example, Morningstar has some that we like to be able to show their holdings. So that's one that's why we use that. Riskalyze, because of the way that it does the risk tolerance, it's just much easier to have that conversation. So yeah, so a lot of those, some that you wouldn't necessarily need. Again, if you're using a TAMP, you may not need some of these. So all depending on how you're setting things up. E-money, some of these were just ones we were using prior. And while they cost versus the free version, there were discounts through XYPN. So that always helps. And so just things like that some of it was just the familiarity with softwares, but also when we were at our past firm, I was the vice president, so I was choosing the technology there. So we kind of knew a lot of other technologies even besides these. And so when we were there, we were even saying these were the best of the ones that were out there. So it was familiarity, but also then we had seen a lot of other things out there. So things we needed to start, I would say.
Yeah, for me, it was probably 85% of what I just listed I had like from day one. And that's something nice about XY Planning Network is that they've nerded out about all this stuff when I didn't nerd out about it. So I trusted like, okay, they're recommending these 3 options for CRM. And I'm like, okay, thank you for narrowing the 15 options out there down to 3 while I kind of learn how to do this. And then a lot of them, the price is right. Like with the XYPN membership, Wealthbox and Advisor are included. And so as a small business owner, going back to what we first started with, we got to practice what we preach. As financial planners, you got to keep your revenue more than expenses. And if you have to keep your expenses as a bootstrap, then you got to do that. And you got to kind of have to manage your money as much as responsibly as possible. Obviously, Woofu for my surveys that I send my clients, where I have them vote on a nonprofit that's going to receive 2% of our top line revenue a year. That's just something that we do. That's obviously something that I didn't do at the first day when I started, because I was like, I just hope my clients are going to stay with me after a year. And then when I was working when I've been working for 2 years now, I'm like, oh, okay, what survey tools are out there? And that's when I decided Woofu. So that's something that was added to that list of the technology that I used to get started.
Like that.
I would say we actually added schedule once, probably a few months later, which is funny. But I was typing an email to a client to find a date to meet, and I was like, I sent them a list of 10 and none of them worked. Okay, let's try this other list of 10. No more. Schedule once was like just things like that helped with efficiency. Here's a link to my calendar. Find a time that works for you and let's get together. So it was some of this is through figuring out we need to be even more efficient when there's fewer of you or one of you. So some of it is just efficiency.
I like that. And just one note that I've made from talking with advisors that have joined the network since the conference and other things like that. Sometimes people are so concerned about what is the absolute perfect tech tool that I need and all of the bits and pieces. Sometimes it's here's what's available, take it and get started, because something is better than nothing, right? And then you'll find a year down the road, you know what? This one's working, but this one could be better. And then you can make a transition if you decide you need something better. But oftentimes, what's available is usually good enough to at least get started. And you'll find out that many times, because it's already been narrowed down by the nerds, oh, it's exactly what I did need. So it's not something to fret too much about.
I would also say that through XYPN, it made it really quick. So it was really quick and easy to sign up. So whereas normally if you were at your old firm or somewhere else, you would have to go to each vendor to get their form and stuff. Through XYPN, they have all of this on the wiki. You go in, you figure it out here, email this person. You're signed up within 24 hours. Like everything moves really quickly. Like when we left our firm in January, we were up and running by March 1st. And so it was very fast. Everything was set up quickly, even the technology. So XYPN made that very quick and it made it very doable to get up and running. So.
And XYPN provides a community where if you do join, something that they'll encourage you to do is join a study group with other people who are launching their businesses, so that you can all like kind of meet once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever time frame that you prefer, so that you guys can all talk about the pros and cons of all the different softwares out there, to really learn from each other as you all get started. And guess what? Those people are going to be some of your best support system in that first year because they get it. They're in the same position as you. So that study group that I started with was really valuable as I got up and running.
Yeah, our study group still meets. So a year later, every 2 weeks, we still have our call. And we're all using different things. We all have different models, but we challenge each other. Do you put your fees on your website? Do you not? Well, why aren't you? It's just, I mean, it's a great group to challenge each other with, but we're still meeting, and it's good to keep up because you keep having questions. One other thing I would say too is what we found after starting out, like after a few months, you're going to go back and figure out, oh, my website, I need to change. I need to add something to. Oh, this software isn't working. I need a different one. Or we need to use this in a different way. Or in Wealthbox, I'm not tracking our new prospects and the ones that we've won and the ones that we haven't, and why didn't we? You're going to go back and revisit these even after a few months. And then after 6 months, you're going to find that you're refining things over and over because you aren't getting enough data or information in order to run your business well. So that's natural. That's going to happen. So like Jacob said, don't feel like you have to have it all figured out in the beginning. You will go back and refine and maybe change softwares.
That's something that I wish I did differently. Was I paid a person to make my website look great, and it looks good. I'm really proud of it, but it was so good that I couldn't go in and edit things in those first few months because whenever I tried to edit things, I would break things. So that's something I wish I would have done differently, was to make it a little bit more user friendly and editable when I was just starting, so that I could like kind of make it adapt as my business was adapting.
And we did our own, and it was painful, but it worked. It's really painful, but that was one area that we decided we didn't want to spend money on. So you're exactly right. You got to pick and choose what you want to spend money on. We wanted to do the video, so we said we'll do the site. So now we can go in and change stuff. And even within the first 6 months, we were updating it dramatically, just language to get our marketing funnel working, all of that. So those are all decisions in the beginning you have to make.
I like it. Okay, we are starting to get to the end of our time. There's one, maybe two more questions that we have time for. This was one that was asked about compliance and getting started. When getting started, this is kind of that same area. Do you need to hire someone to do your compliance when you get started with your RIA, or does XYPN membership offer resources to help with that? How did you guys get your compliance going?
I'll go first. So I joined XYPN 2 years ago when they had a relationship with an outside compliance firm. And so they helped me get started and like write the ADV, understand kind of what all these kind of registration documents are and what they need to say, and then how they need to be kind of formatted for my unique business model. So that was really valuable. I know that since then they've created their own compliance team in-house that does that now for new registrants. So that is kind of a perk that XYPN offers. And I mean, compliance, it's not that hard when you're the one in charge. Compliance, when I was at my last broker dealer, like even though we were an independent channel, wow, like that just nature of that animal was just nuts. And that was like the biggest thing I was scared about when going out on my own. Now that I am a solo shop, guess what? I just need to make sure I don't do stupid stuff, which has a lot more, like I can be a lot more creative because I know that I'm not out there guaranteeing things. I'm not out there trying to mislead the consumer. Like I am my own chief compliance officer, and you have to be well versed in like what the compliance nature responsibilities are. But it's not that much if you're just doing the right thing to the clients and making sure you're doing the right disclosures, you're doing the right systems, which XYPN does offer those softwares through Smart RIA, which is free for planners that are part of the community to help you stay on track of your compliance responsibilities.
Yep, I'll go quick. So we used all the compliance through XYPN to get everything set up. We just did our ADV filing, so I just got all of that back to Scott today, so that's updated. XYPN compliance, that alone may be worth your membership. That, the technology stack, and the community that you have in starting this huge venture going on your own, those would be the three big things with XYPN that I would say are very valuable. So compliance was a big one, and we used everything, the smart RIA. We do not need to go outside of XYPN to get our compliance. We have everything that we need and more just through XYPN.
Yeah. And I'll actually add something quick. I actually hired an outside person outside of XYPN, compliance consultant, who was really well knowledged in, he used to be a Colorado securities regulator, or I don't know what, auditor. And so I actually paid him to like come in and do like kind of a mock audit, not like not a full in-depth audit, but like it was something that XYPN doesn't do. But that was just solely for me to have the peace of mind that, okay, this is what an audit would feel like. These are the questions that they would ask, and this guy knows Colorado, so I'm going to pay this guy to actually sit down with me and do it. So XYPN offers awesome compliance resources, but then it's on you if you want to pay somebody else on top of what XYPN offers.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. So we are definitely wrapping up. Sorry, we are out of time. There's so many more questions, and this is what I love about these calls so much. Is just there's just endless amounts of things we can go on. I don't think I've even gotten through even close to all of the questions that there are. And like I said, we've used this time. We've had a lot of questions. It's been awesome to be with you two. Been fantastic to have you. Just a note: we are doing another one of these calls next month, February 7th, I believe, the first Wednesday, yes, February 7th, at the same time. It's about pricing your services. How much should I charge for my services? Should different types of clients pay different rates? How do I revisit my pricing model? It's a chance to talk to some of those tricky questions, and we're going to have XYPN members Joe Morgan and Helen No. They're going to provide a lot of food for thought on that topic. So if you're interested in that, visit the events page on XY Play Network. You can also see when Arlene will be back for hopefully one of these calls. We're going to try to get her scheduled to run one of these. I know a lot of you were excited to have her on the call, but you got me instead. So check that page and you'll be able to see all of that. And I'd also like to prod all of you listening to check out the member benefits directory. It talks about all these technologies that XYPN offers, the compliance, other areas and supports that there are of just everything that well, not everything, most of all the things that we offer that help people get started and run their firm and grow their firm, and hopefully, like Dan's trying to do, get their first, co-planner to help run their business. So check that out, or if you're interested as well, schedule a call with Stacy to learn more or to talk specifics in your case about when to get started, how to get started, or transitioning from another firm. So yeah, watch the events page. Instead of all of this, we can watch all of them. So yeah, if you do decide to join the network in the future, make sure you mention Michelle and Dan in the application paperwork, because they get a little bit of a referral credit for helping inspire you and for giving the gift of their time here today. So thank you all for being on this call. It's been fantastic to learn and have Michelle and Dan. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. It was fun.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.